All right, welcome back. Today we're going to take a pretty wild journey deep inside our own heads into this ancient, super powerful network that's basically running our entire emotional world. Yep, we're talking about the limbic system. You ever get that sudden rush of fear and you're not even sure why? Or maybe you catch a whiff of something like fresh-cut grass and bam, you're instantly transported back to being a kid? Well, the answer to why that happens lies in this really primitive, really powerful part of your brain. Okay, so let's get right into it. This is the limbic system. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like your brain's emotional headquarters. It's this whole collection of structures that are in charge of our most basic feelings, our most powerful memories, and, what really drives us.
So first things first, let's dig into where this system even gets its name and all of its power.
The name itself is actually a huge clue. Limbus is just Latin for ring or border. And that's exactly what it is. It's a ring of brain tissue kind of sandwiched right on the border between the newer, super-evolved thinking part of our brain, that's the neocortex, and the oldest, most basic part, the brainstem, which handles all our survival stuff. It's literally the bridge between pure thought and raw instinct. Now, to really get a handle on the limbic system, we have to meet its two biggest superstars. On one side, you've got the amygdala. Think of it as the feeler. It's our brain's instant alarm system. And on the other side, you have the hippocampus, the rememberer, which is like the master librarian in charge of making all our memories. These two are constantly working together, and we're about to see just how they pull it off.
Okay, let's dive into our first key player. We're going inside the amygdala.
So the amygdala, it's this tiny, almond-shaped bundle of neurons. But don't let its size fool you, its job is massive. It is constantly scanning everything around you for potential threats, and it's ready to hit the panic button and trigger fear or rage in a split second. It's also the reason a certain smell can just flood you with emotion. We're talking pure, instinct-driven control here.
So you know that heart-pounding, stomach-dropping jolt you feel when a car suddenly cuts you off in traffic? Yep, you can thank your amygdala for that. It's a survival machine, just firing off signals to get your body ready for fight or flight, way before your conscious, thinking brain has even had a chance to catch up. Okay, so we've covered that immediate gut punch feeling. Now let's switch gears to lasting memory. It's time to meet our second superstar, the hippocampus.
I love the name of this thing. Hippocampus actually means seahorse because, well, that's what it looks like. And it has a very specific, super important job. But here's a really common misconception. Your memories aren't actually stored here. Nope. Instead, the hippocampus is like the factory where your day-to-day experiences get processed and turned into long-term memories.
And the process is kind of like an assembly line. First, your hippocampus gets all this new info from your senses. Then it starts sorting it and linking it up to stuff you already know. Finally, it packages it all up to be shipped off for permanent storage in other parts of your brain. It's basically the difference between remembering a phone number just long enough to dial it and remembering your best friend's birthday for your entire life.
Okay, so we've got the feeler and the rememberer. But the real magic, the secret sauce, is how they talk to each other.
This quote from the source material just nails it. These different brain parts aren't just working on their own. They're part of a harmonious mechanism. Emotion and memory, they are just fundamentally wired together.
And that wiring, that mechanism, it's called the Papez circuit. Now, don't worry about the fancy name. The easiest way to picture it is as a superhighway in your brain where emotion and memory are just constantly looping around, influencing each other.
So let's take a quick road trip on this superhighway, right? A signal kicks off in the hippocampus, then it travels through all these crucial relay stations that add emotional flavor, like the cingulate gyrus, which is known as the brain's satisfaction center. And then it loops right back to the hippocampus to strengthen that connection. This constant feedback loop is the exact reason that really emotional events create such powerful, vivid memories. But what happens when this perfectly tuned, ancient system gets damaged? Well, the consequences really reveal just how critical this whole thing is to our everyday lives. Just take a look at this. If the hippocampus is damaged, it can lead to something called anterograde amnesia, which is the inability to make new memories. If the amygdala is affected, you can see conditions like Kluver-Bucy syndrome, where a person's sense of fear is just gone, leading to huge behavioral shifts. And even issues with dopamine receptors inside this system are tied to symptoms of schizophrenia. And to make that really clear, think about it like this. With that kind of hippocampus damage, a person can tell you stories from their childhood in perfect detail because those old memories are safe. But because the memory-making factory is broken, they literally cannot remember what they ate for breakfast an hour ago.
that new experience just vanishes.
Now this is so cool. It tells a fascinating story about just how old the limbic system is. See, the neocortex, that's the new brain in charge of logic and language, it has 6 different layers of cells. But the limbic cortex, it only has 3.
So what does that tell us? It tells us it's ancient. It's a much more raw, primitive design. This is not the part of the brain that's doing calculus or writing poetry. No. This is the part that feels, the part that remembers, and the part that drives our most basic, powerful, and gut-level behaviors.
So if we're going to bring this all together, here's the big takeaway. Your limbic system is basically an engine of transformation. It takes the raw, messy data of your life and turns it into the rich, emotional story of who you are. Your fears, your happiness, your personal history.
I absolutely love this description. The limbic system isn't just another component. It's the visceral brain. I mean, that's perfect, right? It's where you get your gut feelings. It's the part of you that makes you, well, you.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Knowing that so much of your emotional life, your reactions, your feelings, that it's all being driven by this ancient, powerful, and largely automatic system, how does that change the way you see yourself? Something to think about. We'll see you next time.